What's going on, guys? Chris here, Frontlines Bass, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about catching fish in the wintertime. More specifically, how to catch the fish in the wintertime. Maybe you found your fish in the winter on your electronics, or your buddies are catching them, or you're catching fish in the summer, you're catching fish in the fall, and the winter has moved in. You got this cold weather, the water's cooled down, and you're not catching anything. You're not getting any bites. Well, if you're catching fish in the fall specifically, the odds are your fish are still there. They haven't gone anywhere, but real quick, I'll go over a few techniques that will get you bit if you fish them consistently in the wintertime. The most important part, in my opinion, on how to get bit in the winter is to maintain bottom contact. Slow down. I've seen guys out there in the wintertime. I've took people fishing who are new to fishing, and they're out there and they're just jacking it, they're rip bait or ripping it, because I worked in the summertime, and that's understandable. But if you want to catch fish in the winter, you have to understand that these fish are cold, they're lethargic, they don't want to move. Their metabolism specifically slows down in the wintertime, so they do not eat as often. That's why a lot of these bigger baits are a lot better to throw in the wintertime. You catch these bigger fish, because these bigger fish, looking for that big meal, once every so often, rather than a lot of these smaller meals, throughout the day. Keep your bait on the bottom. Slow down. Now, what do I mean by keep it on the bottom? Exactly what it sounds like. Keep it on the bottom. Now, there's different techniques that will help you do that. I'm sure you've all heard of the drop shot. You can throw a swim bait, Ned rig, etc. We'll bring out one reel here. This one is really good for me. This is a Nico rig. This is basically your favorite stick bait. Little 2-aught, little stinger hook, or I think this is a VMC. This is a just a little nail weight. I think this one is a Dobbins brand. They all work great. You cast it out there, you let it sink, boom, it's on the bottom. Now, there's two different things you can do. Now, you can dead stick it. This bait is dead sticked right now. So basically, you cast it out, hits bottom, you do nothing. It sits there. It doesn't move. You can let it sit there for 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15. I've seen people let it sit out there for a minute. And you move it 2 inches, 5 inches, 10 inches, whatever you want. Just whatever you do, move it slow. You got to remember, it's winter. Everything down there is cold. They're moving slow. We move slow in the winter too. They're not down there running around chasing shad, chasing crawdads or whatever. Everything down there is a little bit slower this time of year because of the colder water. So you want to try to mimic that too. You want to be just as slow as everything else. You want to be that slow moving, easy meal. And with the stick bait right here, you get a pretty good profile. I catch both small and big fish on this in the wintertime. Even spotted bass love these things. You catch those small little spots. So for me, a Nico rig is one of my favorite wintertime baits because you can maintain bottom contact. Now you can do what we call the dead stick, or you can do another technique, which is dragging. Probably heard people say, I'll go out and I just drag a jig and whatever, and that's a killer way to catch bass in the winter. Killer way. All throughout the year, dragging a jig, you can get some good quality fish in the boat. So dragging, basically, you can just do it with your rod. You can just drag it real slow on the bottom, real slow, just drag it along. Sweep that rod tip real slow, maintain bottom contact. Tick the rock, tick the rock, tick the rock. Maybe some grass, maybe some mud, rock, thump, bite, got him. Okay. Always remember the bite's pull back. It's not a rock. It doesn't feel like a rock. If you're out there and you're jerking your bait and you're fishing a Senko like it's summertime, you're not going to get bit. You really, really, really need to slow down in the winter and force yourself to keep your bait on the bottom. The longer you can keep your bait on the bottom, the more chance you're going to have at getting bit. And another thing that helps me get more fish in the boat in winter is I like to fish an open hook. This has a little weed guard on here. Last time I was fishing, I was fishing some aggressive stuff. I don't like using weed guards unless it's a jig. You can use it, there's nothing wrong with it, but I like an open hook specifically. So in the wintertime, I typically just stick with the natural colored bait. All year round I do. I don't really go crazy colors. So you're keeping bottom contact, Okay, now that could be dead sticking, and the next technique is called dragging. So what is dragging? It's exactly what it sounds like. You're dragging your bait on the bottom. Now you can do this with your rod tip. Just slowly, slowly, slowly pull it, and make sure you're feeling bottom. You're ticking it, tick, 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 tick. That's when a tungsten jig head or tungsten worm weight really helps you feel the bottom, especially when you're fishing deeper water. You can really feel the structure down there and feel what you're getting. So you're keeping bottom contact. Okay, now that could be dead sticking, and the next technique is called dragging. So what is dragging? It's exactly what it sounds like. You're dragging your bait on the bottom. Now you can do this with your rod tip. Just slowly, slowly, slowly pull it, and make sure you're feeling bottom. You're ticking it, tick, 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 tick. That's when a tungsten jig head or tungsten worm weight really helps you feel the bottom, especially when you're fishing deeper water. You can really feel the structure down there and feel what you're getting. Now this is just a little 2.8 swim bait with a little ball head jig. Boom. This right here has caught me more fish in the winter time than anything. Than a drop shot, than a Ned rig, than whatever. This bait right here, just slowly dragging it on the bottom, has caught me some of my biggest bass I've ever caught. So little 2.8. This is actually the Bass Pro Shops little swim bait, because I feel like these last longer than the Kitex. The Kitex are a great bait, but these ones last a little bit longer for me, so I throw the Bass Pro version. Little ball head, 2.8, throw it out there, small thing, small little swim bait, and just drag it. Real slow. Hit the bottom, drag it. Real low gear ratio. Super slow. Now you can drag it behind a boat, just let your rod tip down and move your trolling motor real slow, let the wind pull you, the slight current, whatever, just drift. But keep it on the bottom. Keep it on the bottom, drag it real slow. Now dead stick it if you want. You can let out some slack, dead stick it for a few seconds, click it back over, drag it again. And sometimes when you do that, that fish will be on it. And just feel that slightest tick, 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 boom, you got them. And sometimes it won't even be a bite. It'll just be like you're dragging a bag full of water or something, like a little parachute. You just pressure and you'll get another one. Especially with spotted bass, I've experienced the spotted bass just pick it up. A lot of times they won't hit the swim bait for me. They just suck it down, especially the big ones. Another lure to fish also is the football jig. This here is a Hawkeye's Lures. Specifically what I like about this jig, it's specifically for wintertime, dragging it, is this has that living rubber. This isn't the silicone. The silicone just basically just lays flat in the wintertime. It just lays flat in the cold water, doesn't really have anything going on, it doesn't look realistic. And when you're dead sticking and dragging real slow in the cold water, this living rubber, for me, is another trick to get you bit. So keep that in mind. These fish are looking at your bait. They're looking at it. They're going to look at every little detail. The natural color, the crazy color. They're going to see what it smells like, the scent, everything. So try to go as natural as you can with the water clarity you have, and for the bait fish and or presentation that you're trying to achieve. Typically stick with natural colored baits during the wintertime. Crawdad, whatever type of shad you got, bluegill, kokanee is a big one for me, kokanee salmon up here, little trout, whatever you got, because like I said, these fish are joined together and they're typically in schools. You're going to have the bait fish, the bass, everything's going to be joined together. They're all there for the same reason. So another one for me on a drop shot is, like I said, I like to have these scented baits in the winter because your bait's sitting idle for a while. Is this little power bait worm right here. This on a drop shot for me is deadly in the wintertime. It smells really bad. These stuffs, I don't know what it is about these little power bait minnows, but these things right here just straight get them in the winter. I fish small natural colored baits on the bottom, maintain bottom contact. You can do scent, you don't have to use scent. Some like it, some don't. Me, I use the scented baits. I don't like to add a lot of scent. It gets sticky, oily, messy, it ruins your clothes. But like the Yum, the Power Bait, there's a lot of other companies, the Kitex, a lot of companies out there that use different scents, and I feel like that can probably help you up your game in the wintertime. Alright guys, well that's going to be it. I hope you learned something. I hope you can catch some fish. This isn't for the everyday guy who's going out there every day in the winter, or the stick out there that's got his leg dialed in and he just slamming fish. This is for you guys who are out there fishing. You're new to the sport. You're having a hard time fishing in the winter. Maybe you probably haven't fished winter before. You have, and you're still having a hard time getting bit. Remember, when the water's cold, slow it down. That's the most important thing, is just fish as slow as you can, and you're gonna get bit. You will eventually get bit if you slow it down. Slow dragging, light, small baits. Don't go super big if you're just trying to get bit. Winter is a great time to catch a PB. It really is, but right now, focus on getting bit, and once you get there, we'll start moving into the bigger baits. I hope this helped. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really hope somebody takes something from this and actually goes out there and gets you a fish. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below on what your favorite way to catch fish are in the winter. We'll see you next time on Frontlines Bassin'.